Hello, here's another video about my Anycubic Photon resin printer stuff. Reason I'm making these videos is because when I first started using these printers, I found it pretty hard to get useful information. Like there was heaps of people who had opinions on stuff, and I think there was one thing where a guy was like, "Oh, I got my Photon 2 days ago, and here's all the ins and outs," and it was like, dude, really? I mean, it's been 2 days. Your ins and outs are the same as what I've come up with. But so I think it's good to have someone who's had one for a while showing you some things. Anyway, now whether you think this is a good idea or not, up to you entirely. But I get really awesome print quality. I get to use my printer without having to fuss around with it too much. It doesn't require a lot of adjusting the bed, changing my films over and stuff like that on for the build plate. None of that stuff happens very often for me, and I've been using these printers for almost 2 years now. And the reason I get these results, I think, is because of the way I do things. So, firstly, I'm gonna turn this so you can see. This is my craft room is kind of crowded like a craft room, But anyway, whatever. This here is just a resin pot, and I keep my filter in it here like this. This filter, I don't really change that very often at all, like maybe once every few months. Once it clogs up, I'll change it, but otherwise it just sits there just like that. This is a pretty dust-free room. The door stays shut. I only use it for my craft stuff, and doesn't have a whole lot of traffic through it. It's more of a storage room for craft things, really, so I can get away with stuff like this because it's not a very dusty room. Anyway, this is a bottle of Anycubic resin that I'm currently going through. This is my printer. It's finished to print probably about 4 days ago. This has just been sitting there, and that's not uncommon for me. I'll have a print, I'll let it do its thing, and then it can just sit there. The resin can stay in the vat. This is UV shielded. That stuff's fine. I know people say you can't leave it in there for some reason. You have to pour it out and clean it out and stuff. That's just nonsense. I found that's just wasted time. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is take the cap off of my bottle. And I'm going to put that down over here. I'm going to take this funnel and put it in here. That's where I'm going to drain my resin to. I have found that draining the resin in between is an essential process because there can be little fragments or elements of artifacts or whatever that just stay in the vat otherwise, and that's going to mess up a whole bunch of stuff for you. So you really should do that every time. Most times, I rarely ever find an artifact in there, but on the times I do, that would have messed up my next print, and it could even have damaged my my glass. It could make the build plate shift position slightly, and then not be giving good prints after that. So it's a good step. Anyway, first things first, I'm going to open up. Oh wait, here's another tip. I've got a packet of rubber gloves, right, which you should use some, but I do it like this. I have it just here like that, and I actually reuse the same glove. Let me flip this camera around again. I reuse the same glove over and over again. I just loosely put my hands through like that. So I'm going to be grabbing it with this, just because I don't like getting this resin stuff in my hands. It's apparently quite toxic. But it gets sticky and it's hard to get off. Now, you see a lot of videos where people hold the plate like this and they use a spatula or something to knock off the design. If you do that, you're going to have to reset the level of this plate a lot, because when you're knocking off that design, it's going to be shifting this around. So what I like to do is I like to grab it on the plate, so I'm not actually shifting the orientation between the plate and its clamp. I'm going to get my little plastic spatula, pry up an edge. Sometimes it takes a little bit. There we go. I got a little edge in here, and I'm just going to let this come off into my little tray. I've got a tray down here, I'll show you in a sec, that I flick things off into. That's my little waste tray. Now this plate, I just like to wipe it down with my glove like that. Just give it a little wipe, make sure it's clean. Yeah, there's nothing on there, that's fine. and then I just run my hand around like this, just to make sure there's nothing on the back end that's going to drip, because you don't want to get anything drip onto your glass. And I put this back and secure that nice and tight back in the printer. This glove, I just take it off carefully like this, so that I can use that glove again, because I found I do a lot of prints, and I was going through packets and packets of these things, and it was just a pain in the butt having to go buy them all the time. So you know, I've had this one packet for, I don't know, over a year now. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, now we get to the point of taking the vat out, which you guys all know that's pretty easy. Now, before I take the vat out, I like to prepare a little bit of tissue like this, and I set that down. I'm going to use that to wipe off the sides of the vat. Now, I don't actually like to clean the vat itself, the film on there, because that scratches it up over time, and that means that because you're fiddling with that film, it doesn't stay as clean, and it expires faster. That's something that I found. So since I've been doing it this way, not touching that unless I absolutely have to, it lasts a lot longer. So anyway, out comes my vat, and that's got stuff in there. I turn it around, and I'm going to attempt to, with one hand, video what's going on down here, and the other hand, whoop, just tip that up like that, and that's now draining in there nicely. And I'm just going to hold that there for until this stops dripping enough that I can take it away. Put this back up here. Oh God, this is really tricky. I should probably have gotten Amy in here to hold the phone for me. Anyway, that's starting to slow down. I'm going to try to do this in front of you guys so you can see on this camera. So I'm just going to wipe up the resin from the edge of this, just from the edge, just on the outside here. That's all I'm doing. This top edge, that's nice and clean. Now I inspect the vat. That's fine. There's nothing stuck in there. There's nothing on that. So I'm not going to touch that. Not going to touch that at all. And I have a look around the vat and make sure I haven't rubbed any liquid anywhere, messed it, because I'm going to put this back in the machine now. Yep. Now, turn this. When you look at this machine, there's two little lumps down the end there. If you're not careful, when you slide this back in, you can actually end up putting the edge of it on top of those bumps. So I just do a quick check. Nope, that hasn't happened. Tighten this up. And also, you might not have noticed, but as I slid this in, I was pulling it so it was off the bed. I don't like grating it across the glass. Like the least amount of things touched here is better. I don't have to get now. Once in a blue moon, it's happened to me twice. I had a little bit of a drip that's gotten onto my glass there, and I've cleaned that off. First time not so successfully. I was a bit heavy-handed when I was cleaning it off, and I scratched my glass a little bit, but I since sold that unit. The guy that I sold it to, I told him all that stuff. He didn't care. And I've gotten a new unit. I've done it once on my new unit, and that's like twice in 2 years, so you know, it's not too bad. And it would have just been me being tired and careless. And cleaning it off was time-consuming, but you can do it steadily, slowly, and gently. So if it happens again, I'll do a little video of how I cleaned that off, and you know, just because it's nice to have that as a reference. I would have liked to have had that as a reference, but I couldn't actually find it anywhere. Okay, and that's how I do that. Now, my resin has finished draining back into here, which is great. So I am going to put this on and shake it about. Now, people do say you can't leave the resin in that vat in the printer. I've done that up to 4 weeks before, and it's been fine. It's usually fine. I'm just going to tip some resin back in here. There we go. My printer is ready to go now. Cool. And I've tipped that back in because I'm doing another print tonight. So I'm going to use that in, like, 10 minutes or so. I'm going to be back here putting a print on. Good, that's good to go. My hands have not touched resin yet. Yeah. Now this is where people might disagree with me, because I do touch my model. This is my I just have an aluminium tray where I put all the waste. Now here's a little container of alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, that just sits there like that. This here is my model. I'm going to wipe off the bottom of it, just to get off any excess. The least amount of excess resin that I've got going in, the better. And then I just grab this with my fingers, because it's just a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and this resin stuff, maybe I'll die of cancer, I don't know, but I can't be bothered. And, like, seriously, the tips of my fingers get in my isopropyl alcohol here, and it washes the resin off anyway. So I just do this. But yeah, I'm probably going to cop some flack for this on the internet, but whatever. If I die of cancer tomorrow, I've had a good life. I've done all the things on my bucket list, so whatever. That's it. That's good. I'm happy with that. That's enough. And I'm going to go rinse that under the water, and that's going to be fine. Like I said, my fingers are going to wash up fine as soon as I get the water on this. This is fine. Anyway, that's my little video on those elements. I hope that's been helpful. I hope it helps you freak out less about having to clean out your vat all the time. I don't know. I just think it's a wasted step. Yeah, have fun.